Now, the reason I'm telling you these stories is because it's this God that makes this psalm make sense. This whole crying out of the depths and if you should mark iniquities, who could stand? It's just melodrama unless there really is a God who marks iniquities. And when he takes note of iniquities, you are immediately liable to judgment. And I don't know about you, but there is enough modern blood in me that this is hard to take. And there's probably enough modern blood in you that the whole idea of God knocking someone down dead for one sin seems slightly unfair. It's not just modern blood. David, 3,000 years ago, was angry when God wrecked his party by erupting against Uzzah and destroying him immediately. And so we kind of have to ask, what could make it right for God just to immediately, for one sin, burst out in judgment? And here's what can make it right. Listen to this. Listen to this. Don't miss this. Sin is not nearly as much about what you do as who you do it against. The sinfulness of sin is not found in the actions of sin, but in the person who is affronted by your sin. If you step on a flea and squish it into the ground, no big deal. If you do the same to a kitten, you're a creep. If you kill a dog, that's one thing. If you kill a man, it's completely different. If you kill a stranger, that's a sin. If you kill your wife, there's an increased intensity of wickedness. If you attack an innocent man, that's bad, but if you attack an innocent child, every culture rises up and realizes something went especially wrong here. And we never are going to understand God or sin until we realize that when we just let go of a little bit of gossip or grab a hold of something with a little bit of greed, the sin has been against an infinite God. That whatever little thing we do echoes into an eternal heart and provokes eternal wrath because it echoes through an infinite being who is all holy and all just. That's what makes sinfulness so sinful, is who it's against. James Holmes. Many of you will know that name because James Holmes is the man who in 2012 armed himself to the gills, went into the premiere of the latest Batman movie, and began to kill people. 12 died. 70 were injured. James Holmes this year was sentenced. Well, first he was proven guilty. And then the jury decided that they would not give him the death penalty, which they could have done in the state of Colorado. But instead of giving them the death penalty, when the jury had not given the death penalty, the judge sentenced James Holmes to 3,318 years in prison. I think, what good is that? How do you serve 3,318 years in prison? What the judge was doing is he had given one life sentence for every single person who died. And I think the judge was trying to reflect something right, that each life was worth one life. That each life taken was worth the life who took it. And so you may not have the capacity to pay for all of those lives, but that is what you deserve. Well, let me ask you this. What if your sin is against someone who has eternal life? What if your sin is against someone with no limits? What if your sin is against an almighty, all-infinite, all-wise, all-good God who is absolutely without borders because He is the only everlasting Alpha and Omega? Then what condemnation would your sin deserve? only an eternal hell could ever be right and just in response to one sin. And the fact that each of us have not had an Uzzah moment or a Nadab and Abihu moment or an Ananias and Sapphira moment is a miracle of God's infinite grace. Your breath is mercy right now. And so is mine.